Brighton Road is one of the good ones here.
I know that there's a lot of really good breweries on the West Coast.
Oh, there's a ton. You know, we've got so many great ones. Mikkeller is based out here. Stone is based out here. Modern Times is really good in the area. Like there's just, you know, we will not, the brewery spelled B-R-U-E-R-Y, another really good one.
Nice.
I moved here a little less than 2 years ago and was in the New York City area prior. Lived in
People
Jersey.
are probably like, what the hell? We should just be like, hey, audience.
Oh, right.
Hey,
sorry.
everybody.
Hi, audience. Sorry, we started without you.
Yeah, no. We had some technical difficulties, but we're here now, guys.
Here we are with Michael Martinez.
Right.
Hello.
Hello, and you can hear us still, Mike?
I can still hear.
Do you
Everything's
prefer
good. Beautiful.
Mike?
Mike is fine.
Okay. Because I got two mics, and that's kind of the theme of the show, I guess, anyways, so it's good.
2 mics and milkshake. Yep, no, that's good.
I actually do have a milkshake. It's right here.
I got mine right here.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, I didn't have the ingredients, so I wasn't able to do a milkshake.
It's okay. I got you. I got a beer too.
Because I also have
Alright.
this Bailey's that I was going to add to my milkshake real quick, just in case that you guys were here with alcohol and I wasn't. So
Perfect. Good deal.
yeah, it's a little.
Well, this is my
fuller.
first of the day, so I'm being, being very good.
It's still
Quarantine
early.
Responsible.
It's still early here on the West Coast. Yes, it's
That's
only
true,
about 4 o'clock.
Do you guys mind if I do a little bit of house stuff?
Oh,
Some
yes,
announcements? All right. Just to start out, guys, this is a panel with Michael Martinez, or I guess really it's a hangout session for Geeks for Hope. Please contribute at geeksforhope.com. You can use the hashtag Geeks for Hope to link to our campaign anywhere you are. We are only in the second full day of our fundraiser, guys, and I really want to stress the work that Project Hope does. They get equipment directly where it needs to be for COVID-19. Just $10 is enough to buy 200 surgical masks for frontline workers. $10, guys. Our goal is only $25,000 to start with. I'm asking you all to help blow that out of the water. You can triple the amount of $10 just by sharing with friends. Share. Share with your fellow geek community. If you guys were a fan of our book drop, then you're really going to be a fan of life-saving, fast-acting contribution, not only around the world, but right here in the US, places that need it the most. A little other side note, I know it looks like PayPal is the only way you can contribute, but if you click on the button at geeksforhope.com, it does give you some other options. If you can't watch every single streaming that we do all week long, it's no problem. You can catch this and additional content on YouTube, Worldbuilders Twitch, and you can keep watching all week long, 2 to 4, to watch Patrick Rothfuss live streaming on his Twitch. So without further ado, let's get back into it. I have Mike Scott, my colleague, and of course, author Michael Martinez. Pretty exciting.
hello.
Ew.
Woo.
Woo,
great.
that was long-winded.
No, it was good.
No worries. That was perfect. Good deal.
Absolutely. Got to get the housekeeping out of the way, and
Right.
totally want to reiterate, like, it doesn't take a lot to like really help people out. These are super strange and unusual times, and $10. You would have spent that on a couple of lattes out in the real world back when that existed. So
Right.
why not?
A milkshake.
That's a pizza.
That's a pizza. I mean, honestly, that's a bad pizza. Let's get
Yeah,
real.
it's not even a good pizza.
It's not a very good pizza. Like, do you really want Domino's tonight, or can you manage like leftovers and help frontline workers? I think that's going to be key.
Exactly.
Oh.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And Worldbuilders, of course, I've been doing stuff here and there with you guys for like 5+ years. It's been the best part about being an author, is just being able to like help people become sustainable in their lives and bring people out of poverty and feed people. And it's the work you guys do is extraordinary. It's very
thank
cool.
you. That's
Hey,
so nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's like a recurring theme during COVID is, we found that a lot of people that generally get their income from, the conventions or other face-to-face panels and sorts, they have now lost all of that income and all of that
Mhm.
exposure that they usually receive. And I know you mentioned that you're taking a break right now in some of your writing stuff, but could you imagine launching a book during this time?
I mean, it's hard. I was just saying, a friend of mine, I contributed to one of his anthologies a while back, and he's looking at his sales figures. He's a small independent publisher, and it's like, this is hard. People, like ebooks and stuff, like they're mobile in a lot of ways, like people commuting or audiobooks or that sort of thing. And when people are sort of locked in at home, there's just so many things on offer in terms of Netflix and Hulu and Amazon and YouTube, and you just get the sense that maybe people aren't picking up books as much. So yeah, anything that folks can do, obviously, to support their favorite authors, to support their independent bookstore. Today, I think, is Independent Bookstore Day.
Is it?
I saw that on Twitter.
I did not
I saw that on Twitter, and of course, as you know, everything on Twitter is true. So, definitely, take it with a grain of salt. But I just think about all of those great independent bookstores that welcomed me throughout my young career as an author. I think about, like, the Last Bookstore in LA, and Mysterious Galaxy down in San Diego, and Borderlands Books in San Francisco, and the Twig in San Antonio, the Poison Pen, the Tattered Cover. So many great bookstores, like, and it doesn't take much. They would love, love, love to be able to ship books to you. So many of them are doing that. So before you go on to Amazon, because they're making enough money right now.
Yeah, true story.
Just check and see if your local's got what you want, and then you can go and keep those places, those wonderful, wonderful places with, booksellers who are so committed to reading and recommending great books. Just keep them going. That would be totally amazing. So yeah, bookstores are cool. We want them to be there when we're done with this.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it's there's a lot of negative things definitely with the quarantine. And of course, we don't want to say that the COVID itself is COVID-19, sorry, I should be specific, is, positive in any way. But I think that some people have seen personal positives come out of, a quarantine, like positives, with the earth and around. Like, I have been cooking a lot more, and maybe some of my friends are developing some healthier relationships with alcohol. Hopefully that's the case all around. Some of my friends maybe the opposite.
And some others, yes, that's a different story. All right.
Right.
No, I mean,
define a healthy relationship, like.
Yeah, define healthy. Yeah. No, it is important to be. I have found myself, I think, throughout all of this, trying to be more mindful. Not only of, like, what I'm eating, getting exercise. Like, I am hoofing all over my neighborhood. And I'm actually putting my work bag on, not just because I'm carrying around Purell and an extra mask and, other stuff, so it's a purse, but also, just to have the weight of it that I'm used to when I'm commuting. So, like, I'm trying to be healthier. I've actually lost weight over the past 6 weeks. I got another notch in my belt, which I'm like
healthy weight, you think?
Boy, I hope so. I probably a mix. Some of it's stress, for sure. My day job is in marketing with the financial services industry. So there's been some stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
So, there's been some stress and some hours, and, we've been working from home since like March 9th. So
wow.
we're in it to win it. So, and then, yes, part of that is stress, but also part of that is just, like, making sure that I'm walking, making sure that, you look at breakfast and you're like, what do I really need to get to lunch, as opposed to what would be like really what I want? And yes, some of that's forgetting to eat, as I'm sure, the people close to me would point out. Uh, Hi. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, I
definitely
mean, I
not
suppose that's good.
not
And then
forgetting to
just,
eat at our house.
right. And then I think part of it, again, mindfulness, just, the people that you're connecting with and, being there for people, whether it's in person or, over Zoom or on the phone or whatever, right? That's something that is important. And I've tried to do and people have been doing for me, which I'm really grateful. I wish I could say I've been like, cranking out the words in terms of writing, but no, I've been watching a lot of, Escape to the Country on the BBC, which makes me want like an English countryside house,
Nice.
away from people.
Yeah, I definitely, I don't think away from people is my mantra right now. I think most of my stress comes from not seeing just other faces, even if it's not close friends. You go to the coffee shop and you're like, that's the barista that always serves me, or
Yep,
I miss those small interactions.
for sure.
I think whether you register it or not, but I I would like to just have a natural transition, but I have been thinking about this since you said it. First of all, don't think that we dropped any of your work, even though it's all over all over our sponsor, our like ads and our posts for this. But just for people who are watching, Michael Martinez is author of Daedalus series, which is amazing. And you had mentioned to me in an email that all of your work is gathered through like personal research.
So yeah, a lot of my work is historical fantasy, speculative historicity, whatever you want to call it. So the Daedalus trilogy is the Napoleonic era set in space, like literally the sailing ships sailing to Venus, for example.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and then like my Majestic 12 series is a Cold War spy thriller with superpowers. So when I think about those books, it really is like what happened, in that history, what characters can I basically lift from history, and then how to sort of fit around that, and create really interesting stories. And my shorter works tend to go across all kinds of things, mostly because I'll take whatever opportunity I can get because it's fun. I did a little Lovecraft, I did a little Pathfinder. I was in the Vampire the Masquerade 25th anniversary anthology, which warmed my little, teenage heart.
Right on.
With Delilah Dawson and so many other fantastic authors that I really admire. So it was just, and some of the creators of the game itself. So I was just like, total bucket list. I've done funny stuff. I've done horror. It's just, that short fiction to me is just a lot of fun. But then the big stuff that I do tends to be very historically based, like the project I'm working on now, which is not under contract. So if any publishers are out there, hi, how are you?
Hey.
How you doing?
He has glasses on, so he must be pretty good at writing, guys.
It's and a beard.
Mm,
There
yeah.
are not enough straight white male bearded fantasy and science fiction authors out there.
So is your beard, I think I've seen always you with a beard on in your pictures, so it's not just affect of quarantine?
Oh no, the beard has been with me since I was a 1995, 23 years old. I was a newsman with the Associated Press, and I got put on the overnight. So I am the only reporter basically awake in upstate New York, from basically Westchester on north, the rest of the state, and I was in charge of responding to any and all breaking news, and also preparing the next day's news feeds and everything else. And they said, oh, it'll be a month or two. It was 6 months.
Oh my God.
Of course.
I'm just happy to have a job at that age with the Associated Press. It was a big deal. So I'm like, all right, well, let's see what a beard looks like. And that was 25-ish years ago. Yeah, wow, it'll be 25 years. It is 25 years. So there you go.
Anniversary.
Yeah, beard anniversary. I have had the beard longer than I've, not at this point. So yeah, that's not an affectation. I think I look 12 without it. Those closest to me in life would probably scream bloody murder if I tried to shave it off. So no, it's been with me. It'll go with me.
It's nice to be able to have the option of beard or no beard. One of my
Mhm.
closest friends is in his early 30s and still cannot grow any facial hair. He's eternally 15 years old.
Oof. Well, I mean, look, when he's 50, he's gonna love that. You know.
Never thought of it like that before. Maybe, yeah.
You know.
I've always
Yeah.
put like a little
Hopefully
bit of.
his face in his 50s is still hanging fullness.
There's nothing to. He doesn't want to have to cover anything up.
There's no scars or that sort of. Yeah.
Permanent whiskey face.
Yeah. Exactly. What is whiskey face exactly?
I don't have an actual definition to the best of my knowledge. It's when you take a shot of whiskey and you get that, only it's permanently now.
I think first of all you need better whiskey.
True.
I went to actually about close to this time last year. I was in Scotland. Sort of a personal treat for myself. I took a 2-week trip by myself. First time traveling by myself in ages. Went to basically write, decompress, relax, and might have had a little bit of Scotch whiskey here and there.
You know what's funny? I would have been in Ireland right when you were in Scotland if you went around this time last year.
This was actually more like the second half of May. It was glorious. I spent a week. I'm going to give a shout out to Ullapool, Scotland. It is a fishing village way north in the Ullapool, way north in Scotland in the Highlands. It's on a sea lock. Basically, go north as far as the north goes, and then you're there. And it's got about 1,000 people, 4 pubs. I rented this little house where you cross the street and you fall into the sea lock, and which I did not do. Great hiking, great scenery. Just like if you want to spend time to I don't know, I would just get up, I would write, and then if the weather was great, which it surprisingly was like half the time, I'd just go and hike up a mountain.
That makes me curious then is if you're writing while you're traveling, I would love to hear you expand on how traveling affects your writing, and then maybe how not being able to travel also affects it.
Well, so I mean, what really? So I'm a full-time dad.
Mm-hmm.
At least I try to be. I have a full-time job, and so my writing has always been a little bit of catch as catch can. Now I'm a former Associated Press reporter, so I don't know if the writing's good, but it's fast. I can you sit me down for 3 or 4 hours, I can get a couple thousand words out the door. It's like it's just finding the hours. So when I'm traveling, I do actually find that
I'm gonna take care of this.
I have the opportunity to focus. I used to travel between New York and LA anywhere from 3 to 5 times a year for work before I moved. And those 4 to 6 hours on a plane where all you have is white noise, they bring you drinks, there's nobody bothering you. I wrote probably 20% of my books on United.
Interesting. Okay.
That is.
So when I travel, it's you're kind of you're removed from more of the distractions than normal, and so you're able to get more done, I think, at least for me. I know that there are people who are they need to be in the zone. They need a sort of a very specific effort to get in that zone, and more power to them, because when they're in the zone, the most amazing work comes out. I don't know if I make a claim on amazing, but you give me enough sort of unrestricted free time, I can really start to get a few things done.
I know I'm not the major authority on inspiration and writing skills and whatnot. I do a little bit of my own writing here and there. I tend to find that my most productive times are about 3:30 in the morning when I have to be up at 7 or 8 the next day. That's when I get my best ideas.
Yeah, no, I have had a few of those. Usually I just grab the phone, like quickly write down like a handful of notes so that I don't lose the idea. And just try to go back to sleep because that's just, God
I do
Yeah,
bless
that
you.
too. I
when you
have like
God
an
get
bless you,
writing
sir.
entire,
fast,
I have an
that's a
entire folder of notes on my phone from that
Oh
exact
yeah.
same experience.
Oh yeah, totally.
I'm the person that can sit there when I'm writing because I'll never be a famous author or publish anything in my life, but I do
Don't say
enjoy
that.
short stories and short novellas and stuff. It's kind of like you'll have this great kind of sentence that might bring something to fruition, but you can sit there and obsess about the way it's constructed for hours. So when you're like, I can write really fast and a lot, it's just like, oh my God, what?
Right. I mean, I think that's only training, right? It's like, I remember in my first sort of, like in journalism classes or my first daily newspaper job, where you're like, no, really, I need it now. No, how about now?
Yeah.
Like we're going to press, we got to get this out. You kind of have to for me, like that first draft especially is just really like, all right, the concepts, the ideas, the flow of the story, get it on the page. Just go, go, go. Don't
Yeah,
stop, plug away at it. And then I worry about making it pretty.
right. Yeah. I mean,
I
that's such a
mean,
good point. I would never imagine journalism translating to fiction. So it's just, I mean, in writing, in terms of writing. So it's just, that's a great way to think about it. Let's just get it out.
yeah, I mean, there's writing is writing and you still want to be compelling. I think journalism definitely gave me a great ear for conversations, like how people talk, because you are listening to how people talk in a variety of settings from small group gatherings, one-on-one speeches, that sort of thing. So you're kind of I'd like to think I developed a little bit of an ear for cadence. So that's helpful. And maybe that's one of the reasons why I lean a little bit more towards historical fiction, because I do have something factual and researchable. I did last year try to write my first full-on, full-length hard science fiction story. And I love the story, but I would get down so many rabbit holes and hit so many walls because it's like, well, okay, now I got to go research. Oh, no, I got to make that up.
Mm,
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know if I want to make that. Or more importantly, like I'm going to research everything around it and then ultimately have to make some sort of leap. And that wasn't as interesting for me either. So I guess I like my history.
yeah. I feel like it's a little bit time because people are gonna be like, what the is up with this title? But so I do have to bring it up. I love to host guests with booze, and I love to host guests with milkshakes. So we're all drinking booze. We're all drinking milkshakes.
I'm drinking both.
Yeah, my milkshake
Boozy
is
milkshake.
now mostly Bailey's, which I have been replacing in the class. I'm still completely sober, so we'll get there.
All right, yeah,
Fair. I'm still
Yeah.
on my
time.
first, so there's
Yeah.
plenty. The night is young.
I need to know first off, what is the most irritating, irresponsible, upsetting version of a milkshake that you guys can think of?
Irresponsible, upsetting. There was I used to work in a restaurant. I've worked in many restaurants throughout my entire life, but there was one place where we had a running joke about how to like what's the one thing that like to show how good of a salesman you are, the most hideous and horrible thing that you can push on your customers and get them to actually say, yeah, I'll take one of those. And the one that I came up with, I was young at the time too, marked me, but I remember saying, I bet I can get my customers to purchase a mozzarella stick milkshake.
What? Did they?
No, I never got anyone to buy it. But I did
Michael, you're
have
an
like,
evil man.
I tried. I definitely tried. I
know,
actually like
that's-
had drawn out like a banner and like an advertisement and put it on the door and said tonight's special, $2.99 for the small, $4.99 for the large mozzarella stick milkshake. And I
That
had like
sounds vile.
it could not have been good. But
No.
Like, you're not a good person. I know.
Not that's 8 kinds of evil. I mean, look, I have my own milkshake sins. I used to work in high school and in college. So I lived in Bennington, Vermont. And really, there's not a lot of places to work as a high schooler and in college summers in Bennington, Vermont. So I worked at McDonald's. So I pitched my Shamrock shakes. And honestly, you could have ground up a leprechaun, would have been better. I mean, it's basically green colored chalk with a load of sugar. I can say before McDonald's comes for me, like there's dairy involved. There are dairy products in there. But I just remember taking just these massive bags of mix, pumping them into the machine, and then you had the chocolate sauce, and then you had the green mint. I don't know. It was green, and you put that in, you blend it up. It comes out blended. I can never do a McDonald's milkshake ever again. I mean, I can't really do McDonald's anymore. It's just. I learned a lot.
Worked there. I imagine that if you even drive past one, the smell, it's just like.
Oh, it's triggering. It brings you back to. I mean, look, everything I learned about how to be in the workplace, how to handle stress, how to on the job, how to comport myself, I did learn at McDonald's. I actually wrote a blog about this like 3-4 years ago, and then Cherie Priest and I got in this great conversation on Twitter about it. It's like working at McDonald's can prepare you for so much. It prepares you for stress. I came out a McManager. I wore the tie. I had a little M on my shirt.
Wow.
Like I learned how to manage people, how to manage the worst sort of humans as customers. Because if you give them a small fry instead of a large, you have committed a war crime. It is like, it's but like after that, it's sort of like I remember sitting there as a reporter. I went to Seattle to be a business writer, and I was there the day Bill Gates stepped down as CEO. And I'm like, you know what? I got this. Because if I can, if it's me and 2 other workers at a McDonald's at 10:30, half hour to close, and like an entire football team comes in wanting to be fed after the game.
Oh, yup.
Oh my God.
Gates, fine. You got whatever, dude. You want to step down? That's fantastic. You need 5,000 words in a couple hours? Sure. Okay. I've seen some shit.
Michael Martinez representing McDonald's. So they can't really come after us for all of the
Place to work.
harsh words, because we ended on a kind note.
Exactly. Look what it has done for our work ethic and our life skills and even our social skills.
I mean, look, they should be paying people more and their food should be immensely healthier. McDonald's is certainly not without multitudinous sins. But as an alumni and a poorly paid one, I did get something out of it.
That's good. Yeah, I read a post recently that was talking about how you should definitely not be paying McDonald's workers $15 an hour because that's how much an EMT makes. And it's like, well, maybe we should be paying them more.
Maybe we should be
Across the
paying the
board.
EMTs more. Maybe we should be
Exactly.
paying teachers more. It's like once you get to like the point where, yes, I think everybody deserves a living wage.
Yeah. I feel like we were getting kind of closer as a people shoving the government towards that mindset. Some places have started to change a little bit. I am not a negative Nancy. I'm just curious to see where we pick up or how things change after we come out of this kind of quarantine situation.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Look, this isn't going to go away. And, this is going to happen in waves, and this is going to be with us for a while. Really up and until they have a vaccine. And even then you hope the thing doesn't mutate too much. we need to be mindful, the rules that are being put in place with regard to social distancing, with regard to wearing masks, not being on the beach, all of the other stuff. Look, I mean, I live in Southern California. We love our outdoors. They're not there just for ourselves, they're there for other people, and they're there for, going back to Project Hope, our frontline healthcare workers, so that, if everybody's out and about and everybody's spreading it like wildfire, then you're stacking people up in the hospital like cordwood. And
Right.
it is about flattening the curve. A lot of people still could get this, but, if we can at least pace it, until there is a vaccine or a reliable treatment, then more lives will be saved, including those people who are working so hard every day to keep people alive.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure. Which is why at 4:35 p.m., 7:35 Eastern time, you should click on the donate button
Thank
over
you.
here.
Right.
And, or over here. I don't know if I got mirrored or not.
It's geeksforhope.com. It's all around you. Hashtag Geeks for Hope. It's in the air.
Make with the pointy buttony thing. Yeah. Sorry.
It makes noise. It makes noise.
It's good. I think even though reminders are corny, I mean, that's why we're doing this whole thing, right? It's because not only are people ill, but the people trying to help are much worse off than some of the people that they're helping. And I mean, not only do they have to help people get back to health, but they're seeing a lot of death, a lot of same things that maybe people see in wartime tragedies. It's a lot to get over. I read an article the other day about a nurse who saw 5 deaths in one day, and she's just like begging the population to just stay inside, and It's not like everyone that's getting affected is necessarily an older or vulnerable person.
Right.
So, here we go. There's a little more Baileys to talk about the hard stuff.
I've been slowly working my way through my
what are you
Champango.
drinking?
So this is a Champango. It is basically made with mango cart beer from Golden Road Brewing and inspired by mimosas. So I feel like I'm doing my Sunday brunch a little late, but it's very tasty.
Because it's 4:30 there?
It's 4:37 here on the West Coast. So
right. I mean, in one way you're doing brunch late, but you're early to the 5 p.m.
Exactly. But it's Sunday, so basically, I mean, Sunday to me is like a free for all.
That's true.
I mean, they even serve wine at church if that's your thing. So.
That's right. Getting hard pressed and ready for Monday.
I have a 7:20 a.m. call tomorrow morning, so that'll be great.
Well, thank you for still joining us with a drink.
Oh, please. Actually, yeah, no, totally. I mean, again, just really happy to do it and love all the world builder stuff that you guys do. It's so cool.
That's great. Thank you.
We do our best.
Yeah, I mean, the auctions every year, I've done a lot of those critiques. Where people will come and read 25,000 words in a pine and let me know what you think. I have seen some stuff, and I've seen some actually pretty good stuff. I've seen one or two where I'm like, but I don't want to discourage anybody from writing whatsoever. And so, if you got to go back to basics, you go back to basics. And to your point, Zay, I do think that writing is something that you really put your mind to it and you dedicate yourself to the craft of it. You never know. And especially at the end of the day, if it brings you joy and if it's something that you really enjoy, then yeah, totally get some stuff down. I never thought I have no training in fiction. I didn't get an MFA. I was a journalist and then a marketer. It was a pure act of blind hubris to basically try to write a novel. And to think that you could get it published. But yes, I think there's talent involved. I think there's luck involved. And I think at the end of the day, there's also just the dedication of putting your butt in a chair.
Yeah.
and seeing what happens. The worst that can happen is you wrote something that you really love, and that can be enough.
That's true. Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people are going to write amazing stuff that still doesn't get published. How
Sure.
old were you when you got your first publishing?
I
Good
got
question.
my first book deal on my 40th birthday. Literally, the call from my agent saying I got signed, 40th birthday, best midlife crisis ever, because it pays me as opposed to me paying it. So I remember being in the office. This is when I worked in the New York office, and I shouted really loudly into the phone, "You have to be effing kidding me!" And like, wouldn't you know it, that the HR person was walking right outside and sort of ducked her head in, and I'm like,
Naturally.
It's my birthday. What do you?
"It's my birthday, and I'm going to be a published author, so sit down."
Yeah, I'm gonna quit here soon. No, I'm just
And no.
joking. Yeah, but you could have held it over
that
their
doesn't
head.
happen.
Give me
Doesn't
your
happen.
paper. I'm gonna get published. No.
Yeah, it was nice, because then, about an hour later, it was like the usual, your office colleagues go and get you cake, and you gather around in the conference room and you have cakes. They're like, "How are you celebrating your birthday?" And I'm like, "Well, let me tell you how I'm celebrating my birthday, people." That was a lot of fun.
Nice.
So yeah, I got it on my 40th birthday, and then it came out a year later, and then was able to do pretty much a book a year until last year. I had three book contracts, which was fantastic, like more than I could have hoped for. And then with, moving to Los Angeles, taking on a much more complex role at work, some personal stuff, this project I'm working on now is taking a little bit more time, and that's fine. And certainly publishing isn't doing a lot right now anyway. So I would rather take the time to get this thing really cool, which
Yeah.
is the plan.
Have you then been consistently always have you always had a day
How's that,
job?
Bailey's?
Yeah. Right. Have you had a day job consistently throughout your writing career then?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I got a teenager. She wants to go to college.
Oh.
I have lived in New York, and I have lived in Los Angeles during this time, not exactly cheap places. It works, and it's just really, I'm very, very happy with what I've been able to do. Also, because I work in financial services, I tend to know how much I need to like comfortably retire, and how to, how be invested so it could give me some income. Yeah, I'm not there.
Yeah.
And that's
I mean,
fine.
it's just, I feel like it's just like odd, because obviously there are a lot of authors who are mega famous. That doesn't necessarily always translate to dollars.
No.
But I think it would be for me, seeing you at a panel, or like right now, it's like, oh my God, I'm talking about Michael Martinez.
Nobody ever says that.
Okay, well, I said it, and it's real.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. My day is made.
So you never feel like your colleagues are ever like starstruck, or the people you interact with? Like,
I have fans, and they are small but mighty, and I deeply, deeply appreciate them. When anybody ever comes up to me at a convention, it's like, they're like, "I really like your writing," and I'm like, "I like you. You seem like a fantastic human. Thank you." It's still really just nice, So yeah, I mean, that is to know that the stuff that you've written really has, impacted somebody is really great. But I would love to eventually basically be able to say, look, I'm gonna go be a full-time writer. I'm gonna be a full-time novelist. But again, that road for me is going to be really different than somebody who either is younger, or their kids are younger, or they live, I remember talking to John Scalzi about it very early on in my career, and talking about the same thing, and he's like, why do you think I live in rural Ohio? You know, because, you know, I'm paying like probably triple his rent in mortgage for, you know, a 1-bedroom apartment. So
Sure.
there you
Yeah.
go.
A lot of people would, sometimes people frown on Wisconsin. You know, they think of it all as all farmers and tractors and
Lovely.
cheese and Green Bay Packers. But if there
Tobaccos
is
are
one
great.
thing, yeah, we have maybe not in every city, but we have a pretty good cost of living here. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's a
I
decent.
mean, I'm from Vermont, and I would love to go back. One of the things that might be nice as we think about if there are positives that come out of what we're dealing with right now, and again, that's not to minimize what we're dealing with right now, because it's a thing. As we think about how we work, as we think about how big corporations, how offices essentially function, you know, my work has been doing really well working from home, working remotely, Zoom meetings, or well, we use WebEx, but the same thing, right? You know, so is it possible then to say, hey, you know, do we really need to have 2,000 people crammed into an office building? What if instead of paying those high rents in Los Angeles, do we have the opportunity to let the workforce go where they may, where your salary could go exponentially further? And it would still be immensely cheaper, even if you brought them together 4 times a year. Fly them all in, have a big convention, get through everybody's speeches and nonsense and meetings and FaceTiming and all that other stuff, and then go work from an Ohio or a Vermont or lovely Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Thank God for the technology that we have nowadays where these things are possible. Like even just like daily meetings on Zoom, like
Yeah.
is just great. Like we have the ability to do this. Whereas I'm not going to put a time on it, but like say for me personally, 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah, wouldn't have done it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's a definite plus. Our team also has been adapting amazingly well. The director, Ray, and I often talk about how awesome it is. We just transitioned and everyone appeared on Zoom. You know, I think, you know, you can't underestimate people's ability to just continue working productively while still handling their business at home and being accessible to their family. I mean, that's golden. Maybe not for everybody. I'm sure.
I mean, look, there's always going to be challenges, and like, you know, I have colleagues who have small kids, you know, and small kids will make a guest appearance on Zoom, you know, during a meeting. We're being very, very thoughtful and forgiving, I think, in a lot of ways, for especially under the circumstances. Like you got kids at home, and you know, you really want to be in line at the grocery store to get in first thing, just in case they got the shipment of paper towels or wipes overnight. And you know, it's most everything else is actually pretty fine. Can get like all of the usual stuff. I do miss Clorox wipes.
Yeah.
Yeah. True story.
Yeah. Just but even here in the heart of LA, we're getting most everything.
Yeah. You know, I think it's important to have, in some senses, in the traditional sense, professionalism, but at the same time, hopefully all of this fosters a sense of understanding where, you know, you see your colleagues as real people who actually have a life outside of work, and they're not just your developer on their computer and then they disappear and come back to work, you know.
Yeah, so, for sure.
Your digital colleague.
Your digital colleague. I actually feel like, you know, there's a colleague of mine on another team who talked about his husband, and I'm like, I didn't know you were married. All right, go you. That's fantastic. Like, you know, just stuff that you're sort of learning as you go. People's kids, their dogs, their, you know. I'm actually really impressed at some of the home decor I saw. Like Zay, I'm telling you, this background you got going on with the roaring fire and the plants, it's all very civilized. I'm digging it.
So thank you. I actually, so the thing is this I always have this in the background of my live videos. I've tried to create some kind of consistency. Over here was like some plastic and metal chairs, and I was like, that's so ugly. And we have about 800 plants around, so I was like, actually with my camera, like, does this look good here? So it's definitely a setup.
That set dressing is important. I mean, I'm in LA, we know.
Yeah, it's a whole production over here before we hopped on.
I'm glad you went with Zafe instead of me, because like I have nothing but a disaster zone behind me.
I mean, you're kind of in your walk-in closet, which is okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
I dig it.
It's exactly pretty much exactly where I'm at right now. This is my make from like totally makeshift work from home kind of temporary office for the time being.
Set that up
And-
immediately after we transitioned, Mike?
Pretty much, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
In
Well,
fact,
this
like
wasn't your work from home all the time.
no.
I work near my spare glasses and coats.
Nope. This was
Yeah.
it used to be kind of like a gaming setup that just kind of got pushed aside, and then all of a sudden we had the work from home that needed to happen, and I was like, I have this spot sort of sitting there doing nothing, and it's better than my garage, which is actually where I've spent the entire weekend, which I was actually thinking about doing this meeting from my garage, but it's an even bigger disaster zone out there right now, so this will have to do.
Yeah.
It
Actually,
looks fine.
Michael
Thank
didn't
you.
even have that painting behind him. It was all about aesthetics. We were like, hang up a
Little painting there, you know.
Is that a dinner
Um,
plate?
That is a dinner plate. Little social commentary, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's I usually try not to actually put too much behind me, like, because again, this is something that you think about now, is like, what are your aesthetics? I don't really have a desk per se to like set up from, so it's like, you know, I'm at a kitchen table. You know, honestly, I would love to take all of my meetings like in bed horizontally, but we have cameras, and it's just not a good look. There are definitely some mornings, like tomorrow morning for a 7:20 call, like I'm not gonna be showered. You know what? You're kidding me, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll out of bed. I'm gonna get enough coffee in me so that I remember English. I'm gonna go on this call. You're not gonna see me, and you're not gonna see me with the pandemic hair. You know, like, no. There are limits to that, man.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'm
Can't do
actually,
it.
most of my meetings are conducted from the couch or the floor. Currently it's the floor, and you guys are propped up on an ottoman, and that's how we're living life, you know?
I'm at a table, and you're propped up on a case of my daughter's organic nutrition chocolate shakes that she's been
Nice.
like pretty much addicted to from a very
I love
early
it.
age.
I love the way that we're just doing what we got to do just to get by.
That's
You
right.
know, we all are.
Great.
It's like, you know, and at some point, if this really does continue, there's going to be months and months and months, which, you know, still could be a distinct possibility. Then I'm going to be like, all right, it really is time to think about, get a desk, where to put it, get a real monitor, where to put it, sort of think about that. You know, and maybe we'll be sort of weaving back and forth for a while, like, you know, especially here in LA, where we have a population density, where we do cram thousands of people into an office building. You know, how do you do that safely? Do you, you know, like half to a third of the people are in and everybody else is working from home? You know, these are all things that people are going to think about, really, I think, for the next year and a half, until, you know, our fantastic scientists and health workers can come up with something that'll make this a lot easier on everybody.
Right. Yeah. And if you're if you're thinking about starting a business, the home office industry is about to blow up. So everyone knows. Yeah.
No, my daughter was thinking about, my daughter's an artist, and she was thinking about, you know, trying to get, like, you know, do decorative masks, like do really some of her original artwork on masks. And I'm like, that's great. We got to get our hands on masks.
Oh,
We're not quite there yet. So,
Yeah.
you know, great thinking. But,
But you got to put the legwork in first.
right.
well,
Get
it means that
the-
I
get the
put the
substrate.
legwork in, as because
Or-
she's 16 and she's going to be like, Dad, find me masks. I'm like, child.
Your first lesson in growing up.
Yeah,
How
about
let's
more of
talk
that,
about supply, demand, pricing, and your upfront costs.
How much do you make a week? What is your salary? What is your
What
allowance?
is your salary? Well, unfortunately, it's been pet sitting and babysitting to this point. So, you know, those industries have kind of dried up.
sharp decline?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And she's,
No, another shameless self-promotion for World Builders.
yes.
Speaking of masks, we are trying to help, you know, smaller businesses as much as we can, you know, outside of authors as well. Fiona's Fineries has made us a bunch of masks for a Masked Hero initiative. You can find that on worldbuildersmarket.com. So everything that we say will be linked below eventually, but yeah, so you can order through World Builders, and you can also buy enough to send to people in vulnerable areas or people that can't afford them. And at the same time, you'll be supporting her and her craftspeople, or what is the neutral version of seamstresses? I don't know, seamsters.
Seamsters.
The
Thank you.
Seamsters.
The
Thank you.
Seamsters. Yes,
A
we've
much
actually
kinder
looked that up.
union. Yes.
He'll be supporting them. You know, she usually makes medieval and Renaissance wear, and also Renaissance. You know, she was telling us a story of how she came back and immediately all of her events were canceled. So, you know, you have to lay 3 people off of work. Well, not now, because she's making masks and we've bought them, and you can help.
Yes. And going back to what I was saying about books earlier, obviously World Builders Market has a lot of great books, a lot of great geeky swag. And of course, you know, it benefits awesome stuff. So like, you know, people should go there too and buy things.
Yeah, thank you. Speaking of, where can people find more of your stuff?
So I'm really lucky in that, you know, you can find all of my books where fine books are sold. If they don't have them in stock, they'll certainly order them. The only thing that I have of any sort of exclusivity was I put a short story and essay collection out last year just for the Kindle. It was a bit of an experiment. I had some short stories floating around that I had, you know, was able to get my rights back, or, you know, because a couple of them were IV properties and they would let me republish them. So, you know, basically all of my short work, a couple of new things, some thinking about writing and publishing and sort of how I got where I got. And that's on Amazon. It's called Stories and Spilled Tea. My daughter did the cover. Very proud of her and her artistic ability.
Oh, that's amazing.
Fantastic.
No, she's very good.
Does she have an Insta or some other handle that you could drop here at World Builders? And
AM_draws, search on that, and you will find her Insta where she is doing, putting, you know, she needs to post more, but, you know, I have a teenager, I need to tell her to go post more. It's weird.
Wow.
Her private, you know, personal teenage Insta is a whole other story. Anyway, yeah, that's where her art is. Yeah, so I mean, you know, that's up on for the Kindle right now. And I just dropped it to 99 cents because, like, you know, hey, people, go read stuff. You know, I know you guys are looking for it, but I would still urge, you know, everybody, if they're interested in my work or anybody else's work, we got, you know, all sorts of cool authors. I know you got Mike Cole later this week. S.L. Huang, I think I'm going to box that name. Sorry.
S.L. Huang. Yeah, we're doing
yeah,
actually, she just released a new book and we're doing her book signing.
Cool.
Yeah, so you can actually get the kind of exclusive drop of her book. That'll be on Tuesday, the 28th. The book signing, please forgive me, Gray, the time is escaping me, but you guys can find all of that on geeksforhope.com. We have it listed when that stuff is, or worldbuilders.org. You can find that information on our blog as well.
Yes, and both sites are worth visiting, and obviously any support, donations, tell your friends. I mean, you know, Project Hope is doing so much great work. World Builder is doing so much great work. And everything that anybody can do, I mean, $5-10, it can really help.
Every little bit helps.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really, really does.
I really appreciate you guys coming by. This Bailey's is ever so slightly hitting me. My S's have gotten a little slurred.
Bailey's is
Bailey's is
the fact that you found that funny is really telling, actually.
no. But
Perma smile kicking in.
Straight face is a no. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Mike, for joining me. It was really great to talk to you over Zoom. I almost said in person, kind of, but
Close enough.
yeah.
Right.
Hopefully we chat again soon. To
Yes.
everyone, please join us tomorrow, same time, same place. You can find everything on all of the World Builders live stream, the Geeks for Hope, YouTube. We repost stuff, and here at Facebook Live.
Awesome.
Great.
And thank
Have
you
a great
all for your
afternoon.
donations. And thank you. This was fun.
Yes, thank you. This was great.
Have a
Yes.
great one. It was fun. Have a
All
great
right.
night, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Michael, nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you guys.